Hi everyone, it's Daisy here and welcome to today's unboxing video. Today we're going to be taking a look at some new Sailor fountain pens. These are the Sailor Veilio pens, and here in front of me I have the two new colors that were just released October 2023. We have the violet and the pearl mint color of the Sailor Veilio, and the reason for today's unboxing video is just that Sailor Veilio is kind of like a new model of Sailor fountain pens that not a lot of people are familiar with. If you know and love Sailor fountain pens, you're probably familiar with either their Pro Gear Slim or their Pro Gear Standard model, or their 1911S and 1911L models, but the Veilio fountain pens are kind of like a hybrid. They are in the Pro Gear family, so they have flat tops, but they have interesting dimensions that kind of make them a hybrid between the Pro Gear Slim and the Pro Gear. So today's video is going to be looking at the Sailor Veilios and making some size comparisons, just so that you guys can understand the exact dimensions of these fountain pens relative to the pens that might already be in your collection. So for those of you who don't know, Sailor actually first released the Veilio new shape of fountain pen back in September of 2022 with two colors, the pearl white and the blue green color, which I don't have here in front of me today, but we can put pictures up of them. And these are like very limited fountain pens, so only select stores were able to get them, and we here at Yosaka were like really happy to get our hands on a couple of them recently. I myself really liked the pearl white color, but all of the colorways in the Sailor Veilios are quite beautiful. So we have here in front of me on the tray today the violet color as well as the pearl mint color here. So just taking a closer look at these fountain pens, you can see here these are marbled fountain pens with these kinds of like these swirls of color that you can see as you twirl the fountain pen around. I really am quite in love with this pearl mint one because of this quality that it has. It's like the swirls have this pearlescent quality, so as you turn the pen here, you get this like interesting iridescent property to it, which is really nice. The violet pen doesn't have the exact same property of that pearlescence, but it is also these marble stripes, marbled pops of color throughout the pen cap and the pen barrel, and that kind of explains why these pens are called Sailor Veilio. So the name Veilio comes from two words actually. So veil for these veils of colors that are seen and kind of drape the pen throughout the pen barrel and the pen cap. And then the iro ending is actually from the Japanese word iro, which means color. So literally it does mean veils of color. And you can see on the pen here, it really does kind of give you the image of these veils of color draping over the pen. So the idea is that you can see the inner workings of the pen through these veils of color. These pens in the Veilio line are, I guess, all going to be some transparent base with a different type of marbled color going all over the pen. Special about the way these pens were made is that each pen is actually created from a single rod of acrylic resin that has been polished from the outside as well as polished from the inside out. So the production process of these barrels and caps is a little bit different from like your injection molded fountain pens. It's a little bit more labor intensive, and it takes more precise work to create a really, really smooth barrel. And what you do get, the result, are these really smooth barrels from the inside out. You can feel how smooth the barrel is in the threading particularly. So as you twist the cap on and off, you can really feel how smooth the threading is aligned with the other side. And it's really kind of like a very pleasant process to screw the cap on and off, and even when you're just like taking the pen apart to ink up. One other feature of the pen is that it comes with a color matched converter. So here's a look at the Pearl Mints converter with that Pearl Mints color. That's such a nice color. I feel like I would love to use that even like in my Dragon Palace or something. That would be so cool. Here's a look at the matching color of the converter on the violet colorway. You can see here it's kind of like a dark blue navy color to match the violet. One other feature that makes these fountain pens, the Veilios, quite unique in the Sailor lineup is the actual nib itself. So it actually says 21 karat on the nib, and the size of the 21 karat nib is the size of the actual 14 karat nib typically found on Sailor fountain pens. So for those of you who aren't so familiar with Sailor fountain pens, I have two of the usual Sailor models here to explain a little bit better to you guys. In front of me is the typical Sailor Pro Gear Slim model, and on top here is the Sailor Pro Gear model. So the Sailor Pro Gear Slims are smaller, and usually they come with a smaller 14 karat gold nib, as you can see here. And then the Sailor Pro Gears come with the larger nib size. If you compare these two nibs side to side, you can see that the pen on the top here, the green one, has a larger nib, and that is usually the 21 karat nib, and the smaller nib is the 14 karat nib. Now, the Veilio that we're talking about today actually has the same size nib as the typical 14 karat nib available in 21 karats. So this is another feature that's a little bit unique to this fountain pen, is that it has a 21 karat nib in the smaller Sailor nib size. Since we have all of these fountain pens here already, we'll also talk a little bit about the actual size dimensions of the Sailor Veilio and what makes it a little bit unique. The Sailor Pro Gear Slim is the smaller barrel size relative to the Sailor Pro Gear Standard size, and the Sailor Veilio is actually kind of a hybrid in between these two. So the Sailor Veilio, while it has the 21 karat nib, it actually has the same barrel length and size as the Pro Gear Slim. So you can see this is the Pro Gear Slim Fire. This is the Pro Gear Slim Fire, and this is the Sailor Veilio, and these two have the exact same dimensions side by side. So the Veilios has the barrel of the Pro Gear Slim, and what makes it different from the typical Pro Gear Slim is that the Veilio actually has the cap of a Pro Gear Standard. So this is the Veilio cap, you guys can see. This is a Pro Gear Slim cap, and this is the actual Pro Gear Standard cap. I know you guys think I'm crazy probably, but like these two are actually the same. So the Sailor Veilio has the same exact dimensions, the cap dimensions of the typical Pro Gear Standard. You can see it has the same length as the Pro Gear cap. So that's what I mean when I say that a Veilio is a little bit of a hybrid, is because it has the body of a Pro Gear Slim and the cap of a Pro Gear. So then that might lead many people to wonder where does the weight of the Veilio stand? Sailor Veilio actually weighs 21.5 and the Pro Gear actually weighs 21.6 grams. This is 21.5 grams, this is 21.6 grams, and then the Pro Gear Slim weighs about 16.8 grams. So this is it in like least heavy to heavy order, but the Veilio and the Pro Gear are quite close in weight, probably pretty hard to tell the difference at all. And just to give you guys some other weights of fountain pens, if you have other ones to reference, the Pilot Vanishing Point weighs about 25 grams. The Kaweco Classic Sports, just the plastic Kaweco Sports, weigh 10 grams. And if you have like a Kaweco Brass Sport, which is considered a heavier fountain pen, that is about 48 or 49 grams. These pens, though they are gold nibs that are kind of like on the larger side, these are probably larger than like the Kaweco Sports. They are not necessarily heavy pens at all, so they're comfortable to hold in hand. And one last difference that I'd like to point out about the Sailor Velios has to do with the cap band, actually. And I have 3 examples of different Sailor cap bands to demonstrate the difference between different cap bands and what they might look like. These pens look pretty similar, but if you take a close-up at the different cap bands, they're actually all slightly different. So the first one is on our own Yoseka Origin Pro Gear fountain pen. And you can see here the cap band is actually a thin band of gold on top, followed by a thicker band of gold on the bottom, with engraved, Sailor since founded 1911, which is what they have on most of their fountain pens. Then on the Sailor Pro Gear Slim Fire over here, we have more of like a rounded type of cap band, which features a solid band of gold, as opposed to this style of band, which is like two strips of gold. And then on the Veilio, there is a very unique type of cap band, which isn't really found a lot on other models of Sailor fountain pens. It is this kind of like very straight-edged cap band, which gives the Veilio a very different look from the other ones. I'll also mention that the standard gold trim is seen on these 2 models of Sailor fountain pens, and on the Sailor Veilio we see this lighter champagne gold trim. So if you compare the gold on all of these 3 fountain pens, they actually, this one looks different, the Sailor Veilio. It's a subtle difference. For the main features of the Sailor Veilio that make it a little bit different from all the other, lots of other typical models of Sailor Pro Gear Slims and Pro Gears that we see. I hope this video answered anybody's questions that they had on the Sailor Veilio. We've been talking about how it feels different, and I think a lot of the times, like, you can feel the difference when you see it, but you don't necessarily see where the differences come down to. So hopefully this answered some of the questions you had. Let us know if you have any other questions in the comments about this pen. I hope you love it, and thank you so much for watching this video. Bye!